It's 6 p.m. on Monday here in Korea. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Hwang Jae. And these are the top stories we're following at this hour. President Park Geun-hye calls North Korea's recent landmine blasts a clear military provocation as South Korea and the U.S. begin a joint military exercise. The chairman of the South's ruling and opposition parties clash over possibly lifting the sanctions imposed on North Korea back in 2010. And 3 weeks since the ugly succession battle began at Lotte Group, and it now appears that the younger son has strengthened his position by gaining the backing of shareholders. Our top story this afternoon, one of the key military exercises of the year began earlier today. South Korea and the United States started Ulchi Freedom Guardian under the usual cloud of threats from North Korea. Our Hyun-bin starts us off.
South Korea and the United States kicked off their annual defensive drills dubbed Ulchi Freedom Guardian on Monday. The exercises, which will run through August 28th, are aimed at helping the allies better react to the wide range of threats posed by Pyongyang. The drills involve about 50,000 South Korean and 30,000 American troops in a war game that simulates an invasion by North Korea. Officials say Pyongyang was informed of the allies' plans through a loudspeaker at Panmunjom, the truce village inside the DMZ, on Saturday. North Korea has a history of condemning the drills, calling them practice for a northward invasion. This year is no different, with Pyongyang threatening over the weekend to take strong military counteractions against the U.S. if the drills proceed.
In response to the Ulchi Freedom Guardian exercise, we will take intense and appropriate counterattack measures.
South Korea's defense ministry reiterated that Seoul will strongly respond to any provocations.
If North Korea attacks, we will strongly counter to prevent a second wave of attacks.
The U.S. State Department has stressed that the drills are defensive in nature and intended to better secure and maintain peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. The Ulchi Freedom Guardian drills come at a time of heightened tensions between the two Koreas. Seoul has accused Pyongyang of being culpable for a recent landmine explosion in the demilitarized zone that seriously injured 2 South Korean soldiers. North Korea has denied any involvement. Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
And on this first day of the joint military drill, President Park Geun-hye chaired a cabinet meeting where she highlighted South Korea's strong deterrence in the face of continuing security threats from North Korea. Choi Yoo-sun reports.
President Park Geun-hye has said North Korea illegally crossed the DMZ to plant landmines, which recently exploded and injured 2 South Korean soldiers. She then called the attack a clear military provocation. President Park also said she hopes the 2 soldiers recover quickly.
부상 장병들의 명예 고양과 치료를 포함해서 국가가 모든 것을 책임지고 조치해 주기를 바랍니다.
The president led a cabinet meeting Monday, the first day of Seoul and Washington's annual Ulchi Freedom Guardian exercise. She highlighted South Korea's need for a strong sense of security and deterrence in the wake of North Korea's continued military threats. President Park said the military exercise is an opportunity to gauge the South's readiness to protect public safety and national security, and she ordered the military to guarantee South Koreans feel protected in their daily lives. Referring to this year's inclusion of drills to counter cyber and bioterrorism attacks, President Park called for actual training against threats involving biological weapons, infectious diseases, and cyber attacks. The president also asked officials to provide fire extinguisher and CPR training for Korean citizens to boost the country's emergency response efforts. Ahead of the cabinet meeting, the president chaired a closed-door National Security Council meeting held annually during the Ulchi Freedom Guardian drills. Choi Yoo-sun, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, North Korea has resumed its anti-Seoul broadcasts at the border. A South Korean military official said Monday loudspeakers were used for the broadcasts in several areas of the military demarcation line. The official added that the broadcast is aimed at preventing North Koreans from hearing the South's anti-Pyongyang broadcast rather than conveying messages across the border. The two sides agreed to stop all loudspeaker broadcasts on the border in 2004, but they resumed after the recent landmine blast at the DMZ. Shifting gears, South Korea's ruling party has dismissed the main opposition party's suggestion to demand the lifting of a series of sanctions imposed on North Korea. The opposition party's chief has also urged President Park to attend a war memorial ceremony in China next month. Ulchi Freedom has more.
The ruling Saenuri Party's chief Kim Moo-sung said Monday it would be inappropriate to request that President Park Geun-hye lift the set of measures imposed on Pyongyang at this time.
I don't think it is appropriate to suggest lifting the May 24th sanctions on North Korea if we consider the 46 South Korean soldiers that were killed in the torpedoing of a naval ship in 2010 and the recent landmine provocation by the North at the DMZ.
Kim's remarks come a day after his main opposition party counterpart Moon Jae-in said the rival party should jointly submit a proposal to the president suggesting the lifting of the May 24th sanctions. Moon on Monday said he regretted Kim's decision and also urged President Park to visit Beijing next month to attend China's celebrations of the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II.
President Park Geun-hye should attend China's War Memorial Ceremony to show that South Korea is willing to lead Northeast Asia and create an atmosphere of reconciliation through its diplomacy initiatives. This can only be possible by improving relations with North Korea.
China has invited world leaders to attend a huge military parade on September 3rd that will celebrate Japan's surrender in World War II. However, many Western leaders will likely refrain from attending the ceremony to avoid involvement in China's rivalry with Japan. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Documents coming out of China reveal the extent of Japan's shocking history of wartime atrocities. This comes on the heels of Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's statement last week that did not make any direct references to the victims of sexual enslavement during World War II. China plans to continue exposing more revelations. Connie Kim has the details.
It's been revealed that the Japanese military coerced 2,000 Korean women into sexual slavery in the 1940s. A record office in China's northeast Heilongjiang province on Monday revealed a Japanese document that detailed the drafting of Koreans to work at comfort stations in several regions throughout China in 1941. The record also disclosed that Korean women were deceived into serving at comfort stations disguised as restaurants, as well as detailing locations of sites and the permitted service time for Japanese soldiers. The revelation follows a Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's statement on Friday, where he didn't give a direct apology to the so-called comfort women. China's efforts to pressure Japan to face its historical wrongdoings continued with its State's Archives Administration releasing a video series about Japan's abuse of women during wartime on Saturday. On the first day of its 8-day series, it released a Japanese soldier's testimony recalling a Chinese woman being killed and eaten by soldiers during the invasion of the Shandong Peninsula. The second video in the series, unveiled on Sunday, showed evidence of 141 women forced to serve some 25,000 Japanese troops stationed in Nanjing. The Chinese Archives Administration is set to release 6 more installments of the series as part of efforts to show that the Japanese military systematically kidnapped women and operated brothels. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
The family feud over control at conglomerate Lotte Group might be inching closer to the end as shareholders of its de facto holding company voted to approve management plans proposed by current CEO Hyun-bin on this Monday. Our Song Ji-sun has the details.
At a crucial extraordinary meeting held in Tokyo, Lotte Holding shareholders backed the current CEO of the group, Hyun-bin, to manage the conglomerate that operates both in Korea and Japan. Approving the reform agendas proposed by the younger Shin, Lotte Holdings announced that the shareholders would like to see manage the group in a more stable and transparent way. Lotte, the country's 5th largest conglomerate, has been mired in a succession feud between the 93-year-old founder Shin Gyuk-ho's 2 sons. Shin Dong-bin, who oversees businesses run in Korea, has steadily built his control over both bases over the past month while Dongju, who had his father's support, was removed from his post in Tokyo by the board supporting his younger brother. After winning initial approval from the shareholders at the meeting, which lasted less than an hour, the CEO also drew a clear line between company issues and family matters, adding the two should not be mixed together, and that the company should be operated on the basis of law and order. Although chances are slimmer now, industry watchers say the big brother Shin Dong-ju will seek to reclaim his control, arguing that the way his younger brother grabbed the reins over the group was not legitimate. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Korea's National Assembly will hold a series of meetings this week to try and settle the government's budget for last year. A special budget committee convened for a public hearing this afternoon. Parliamentary reports from the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister on last year's budget settlement will take place for 2 days from Tuesday. The rival parties had previously agreed to conclude last year's budget settlement at a full assembly next Friday, but they're expected to clash over how to cope with the tax deficit. The parties agreed to discuss measures to increase tax revenue, including restructuring tax rates, when they passed the supplementary budget plan last month. Opposition blocs want to hike the current 22% corporate tax rate, a plan the ruling's Haenuri party strongly opposes. Now, Korea's third largest conglomerate, SK Group, plans to extend a new wage peak system to all of its affiliates by next year, in line with government efforts to reform the labor market. About 90% of the group's affiliates have already taken steps to adopt the new policy. The system allows employees nearing retirement age to continue working until 60 under a gradually decreasing salary. The money saved is then directed to hiring young workers. The government has been urging business groups to establish the system, which aims to promote job security for the younger and older generations. Samsung Group and Hyundai Motor Group have decided to adopt the system within the next 2 years. LG Group, Lotte Group, and POSCO have already implemented the system at most of their divisions. They plan to fully adopt it by the end of next year. Korea's leading conglomerate Samsung Group says it will create 30,000 new jobs for young people over the next 2 years to improve the country's youth unemployment problem. The group said Monday that it will provide the jobs through various ways with the help of its subsidiaries. The group will hire 3,000 trainees to work at one of its subcontractors, where they will be able to apply for a position at Samsung affiliates after 4 years. It also aims to create 10,000 new positions by 2017 through new investments. The move comes as the government aims to better the job market for young Koreans, as the unemployment rate among those aged 15 and 29 came in over 9% in July, posting the highest rate since the global financial crisis in 1999. And some good news for those planning to travel abroad next month. For the first time in 6 years, passengers buying tickets for international flights in September will not have to pay a fuel surcharge. Surcharges are imposed based on the average price of fuel traded on Singapore's spot market. When the price falls below 150 cents per gallon, it's not levied. The latest data revealed an average fuel price of 146 cents for the period between July 16th and August 15th, the time used to determine the surcharge for September. In August, passengers paid $14 on average in fuel surcharges. For domestic routes, the surcharge is expected to be lowered to about $2 in September, down from about $3 this month. Search and recovery operations in a remote part of Indonesia have been suspended due to bad weather. The team were heading to the country's mountainous region of Papua, where wreckage of the passenger plane had been spotted. Officials say the plane had 54 passengers and crew on board, all of them believed to be Indonesian. Kim Ji-yeon reports on the latest in a series of aviation disasters for the Southeast Asian country.
An Indonesian passenger plane carrying 54 people has been found crashed in the mountainous part of the country. A government official confirmed the Trianga Air Service plane had been found in the Oktabe district of the Papua region. Details are still filtering through, but the official says villagers reported seeing the plane smash into the side of a mountain.
According to the information, the Trigana Air aircraft that lost contact was found at Camp 3 Okbabe district in the Bintang Mountains Regency. The information provided by the local residents said that the flight crashed into Tangok Mountain. The detail on this finding is still under investigation.
The domestic flight carrying 44 adult passengers, 5 children, and 5 crew members lost contact with air traffic control on Sunday afternoon local time without making a distress call. A detailed search effort was called off late Sunday as well as the following day on Monday due to inclement weather.
How long the search is conducted depends on the weather, I guess. The important thing is that we know the approximate location, so we will focus our search efforts there.
Air transport is commonly used despite Indonesia's patchy aviation record, since land travel is often impossible in the island country. Indonesia has already seen 2 major plane crashes in the past year, prompting the government to introduce stricter safety regulations. Kim Jeon, Arirang News.
And that brings us to the end of our newscast. Please stay tuned for more updates coming up at 10 p.m. Korea time. Goodbye for now.